Hey ratbags, it's me, Jade. I know, someone that used to have a survival channel. I built up 177,000 subs and I've not been uploading regularly in the last month. Why the hell not, Jade? Basically, my second channel has just been doing bangers. Grounded full release came out. I kind of devoted my second channel to Grounded mostly. And it's just been flying. I'm about to break the most views I've ever had in a single month. Got a huge amount of subs, huge amount of stuff going on. Loving the game, loving the environment at the moment with it. And it has meant that I just focused on it because I really wanted this to work. I really want to cover Grounded and other games like this in the future on my second channel that I started maybe like last November, December. So today it's kind of like an update video on what I will be covering. Don't worry, I have got content planned for this channel. I'm not going to let it die completely. YouTube's a funny old game. Unless you're like a Let's Player that can really build up a community, you're not always going to have people stick with you. I've got a little core group of ratbags that have always loved me covering every survival game under the sun. News, guides, gameplay, giving you an idea of whether or not it's for you to play. I have dabbled in other games like Assassin's Creed and Dying Light and stuff. And ultimately, every time I've jumped from one game to another, it has meant I've lost people who just aren't interested in that next game. Even if you love survival, I'm not expecting you always to go and watch every other survival game that I cover. Some things have got to change. Realising that Grounded and maybe what I was originally doing with Ark back in the day, building up a community is important with YouTube. They really just don't like it if you're a kind of a versatile creator covering lots of games. So today I'm going to show you 20 games I'm going to be covering. But I really want to realistically set out how I'm going to be covering some of these games and what I think about them really. I'm going to be doing more live streaming on this channel, and once Valheim the Mistlands update comes out, I'll be going ham on that. I kind of want to stick with Valheim for quite a while. That'll be like my main game you'll see 3 or 4 times a week. And then other games, little indie games that pop up, survival games, I'll be doing live streams on them. But I'm probably not going to devote as much as I used to them unless I really enjoy them and they are successful. And then as we get some of the big hitters next year, which is just insane, hence the thumbnail. Ark 2, Nightingale, Starfield, Dead Island 2, Sons of the Forest. There are just so many survival games that should be coming out next year, given that half of them have had so many delays already. So they're the types of games that I will be covering more with news as we get it now till whenever they release. And yeah, just a hello from me. I'm sorry I've not been more regular. I'm going to carry on doing what I do, survival news, gameplay guides. But as I said, I'm just a bit more picky and choosy about what I want to cover nowadays. I don't feel like I have to cover every release, and especially games that I just don't agree with, like recently Kona Exiles and their stuff they did with the Battle Pass system. It's completely put me off that game and I just won't touch it again. But for the hardcore ratbags that are out there supporting, thank you so much. And like I said, yeah, I'm going to get more in the flow with live streams very soon. Hopefully streaming 4 or 5 times a week. And hopefully you guys get to decide more about what I play in terms of revisiting some of the older games or checking out some demos or new stuff that appears. Right, off with my face. Let's get into 2023 being insane for survival and what I really think. So, Sons of the Forest 2, one of the most hyped games in existence in terms of survival. I'll be all over it. I am scared shitless from survival games like these horror games, but I love the original and I'm desperate, hopefully, to give you lots of guides and gameplay. It's going to be saturated, lots of creators will be covering it, but I think I can add some value to guides especially. And hopefully playing with some other friends of mine like Razgalat, because I am just a scaredy cat. It would be nice to do this maybe multiplayer with others. Is it going to come out on time? It's meant to be coming out on February 23rd. It'll be like the 2nd or 3rd delay, hopefully, or release date they've been set. Yeah, I think it will make it by then. It's promising to revolutionise AI in what we think. And yeah, I'm going to be doing news videos from now until then. Any kind of big new info, I'll drop it to you guys and expect lots of gameplay and guides when it launches. And something that I will hopefully try and cover a bit long term. Starfield. I want to believe this is going to be a good space sim survival game. Apparently with more news coming out that you're going to need sort of fuel and be careful how you manage your fuel if you want to explore lots of the planets. Not to mention a lot of them needing oxygen, so you will need to make sure that's supplied as well. It is a survival game. Sure, it's RPG as story as well and everything else, but it is going to have their major mechanics attached to it. Is it going to be good? I don't know. I've been down this road before. I kind of was excited for Fallout 76. I thought it was going to be Rust in the Fallout universe, and it kind of wasn't, and then they nerfed it to high hell and made it PvE Care Bear game with just shit tons of microtransactions and bullshit. But can they redeem themselves? Now they've got Daddy Microsoft behind them. This is Todd's baby. This is the one he actually wants to make. I hope so. if it does prove successful with a huge amount of people trying to cover it at the same time, I definitely would like to cover it long term. I'll sure give it a try, I'll sure give some gameplay guides, a little bit of news, maybe a bit towards its launch, but at the moment if I do news on this, it's just overtaken by bigger tubers out there. So maybe now and then a big blowout and stuff you need to know or expect, or we've got a huge amount of information, I'll drop it, but not something I'm going to be doing on a weekly basis. But once it's here next year, apparently maybe by March, yeah, for sure, I'm going to be over it with gameplay and guides. And if it proves successful, then maybe I'll give it a long-term look. The one that started it all for me, this was the game that made me into a proper tuber. Like, I did it full time, based off the views and the subscribers I was getting covering Arc 1. With the sequel, I'm much more excited. Like, I'm almost done with Arc 1. I'm going to cover maybe Scorched Earth and the DLC and stuff that happened with Switch, obviously. And yes, I might try and join some friends and play a little bit towards the end of the year. But I'm not going to lie, Arc 1 doesn't really excite me anymore. I've gone off even building videos and stuff that I used to watch and enjoy. It just doesn't grab me in the same way. So give me something different. I'm still not ecstatic about Dino of War. That's what they seem to be doing with Vin Diesel, just emulating God of War here. But for sure, the promise of mod support for consoles, a third person, a brand new narrative and way to play the game in terms of combat, maybe Dark Souls influenced. Yeah, this is fresh. This is something that could get me back into the franchise in a big way. When you've done like 1500 videos and you've got 30 million views off one game, it's hard to let go, but I have just got really sick and tired of the game. So yeah, as soon as this comes a little bit closer, I might start doing a bit more news. You'll get any big blowouts like reveals at award shows and stuff like that. And especially nearer the time, I'll be more consistent in talking about Arc 2. And when it's here, gameplay guides, I'm confident I can add value to it, even if I've not been playing the original for a while. So they're the games that I will be covering at some way, shape or form in the next 6 to 9 months with either news or when they actually release with gameplay and guides. There's one game particularly though that I'm going to absolutely deliver any bit of news we get, and that's Nightingale. I just really love the look of this. I've had a lot of time looking into the game, I'm speaking to developers, I'm getting a chance to look at stuff in the future maybe, and I just want to get myself in the world and experience the different realms you can create. Multiplayer, lots of base building and just 18th, 19th century steampunk vibe. I'm totally down for this. I love that kind of setting and it's just absolutely my most hyped game for the next year. Hopefully offering something fresh. Yeah, it might crash and burn, it might not end up being that great, but I've got a big feeling about Nightingale. I think it's going to be one of the biggest games next year. So alongside Sons of the Forest, you're guaranteed to get any news about Nightingale in the next 6 months. So hopefully it release at some point early next year. I just wish it had some sort of plans for console, even a little teasing saying maybe one day, but at the moment it's PC only. I do try and support smaller developers. I've always done that and covered loads of different smaller games. Anything I can really show off and say, hey, someone's making something a bit different, or give them a little bit of help. Derelict seems to be a pretty cool game. Maybe a bit more focused on automation than people were expecting, with that energy, reliance on either water or air. You've crash landed on a post-apocalyptic Earth to see if it's ready to re-inhabit, but it's populated by mutants. You get a chance to get a doggo, you'll be doing the usual survival stuff, and it's looking fantastic. I'm really not expecting it maybe to release until the end of next year, and you never know, if he picks up a publisher or more help, they may delay it even more. But I like the idea of this. He's got some fresh ideas, really looking cool. So when we get big info drops, I'll keep you guys in the loop, and when it's here, gameplay and guides. Among the Trolls recently got delayed. I mean, it only got announced a few months ago, but yeah, they've recently delayed it till next year now. It's going to be a survival game set in the Finnish folklore or region or area. I ain't gonna lie, the opening trailer they showed off at one of the events recently was pretty boring. It didn't really grasp or capture anyone's imagination, just going through some mystical trees. They should have instead really focused and showed a bit more of the magic that's in line with this survival game. You're meant to basically use the environment and summon or sacrifice stuff to the spirits of the forest of the Finnish folklore to help you. Like, you might be able to stop the rain coming or make the rain come by using certain stuff. It has got all the other basic components of survival, although it's got a little bit of goal panning, which is something pretty different, I feel. And it does look like we will eventually maybe have to face off against some mythological creatures in the game too. All that is much more interesting than just some flyby in a forest. I do feel though this will come out in early access. It might have a few updates, but people won't be all over it. So it'll be something I'll definitely want to cover and show off, maybe do some guides and gameplay. But yeah, it probably won't be something I'll cover long term unless it gets big updates. Honestly, the day before I was excited and hyped when I thought, yes, The Division versus DayZ, proper PvP, I'm down for this. Exploring a city overfilled with zombies and then running away to the countryside to upgrade your weapons or maybe build a little house. Oh boy, they know how to hype up this game, but the fact is the developers have got a bit of a shady past. That hype in marketing has also been their downfall because of the delays and the excuses for why delays are happening. It's okay to delay your game, but the way they've done it literally only weeks before maybe their actual first release and then delaying it a whole year to upgrade to new engines, I don't know. We still just don't know enough about these guys. It is all just a bit weird and a bit dodgy, but the premise is still there for me. So if this does come out, I'll absolutely be on it. But I don't think I'm going to devote too much airtime to news and stuff, just because it might not be something that actually releases next year. Another one a bit like Among the Trolls, although this definitely had a more interesting trailer, Serum. Something to do with pumping yourself with it, or you've got to keep yourself going with a serum to inject. Survival mechanics, maybe a bit of ghost or alien hunting as well. It's definitely different enough, and that's what I'm really looking in survival games nowadays. I want something to be different. But again, it's one of them ones, it's published by Toplitz. It could be one of them that gets updates every 6 to 8 months or whatever. So it will make a splash when it launches. Every survival tuber will be on it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. If I really enjoy and like the game, I'll support it more. But for sure, I'll definitely cover it when it releases. But it won't probably be something that I cover all the time. Now, some of them games, like I said, it's all a bit whether or not they're going to be good when they get here. But one game that I really feel like I could get into a lot is this. Return to Moria, obviously Lords of the Rings. It's a dwarven survival game, co-op based, where you fight off against obviously orcs, as well as build up your massive new fortress in Moria. I quite like the art style, I feel it's pretty cool, it looks interesting. It's coming out on the Epic Games Store, I do believe, next year by March. So it could be a big hit towards the early part of the year. Let's hope so. We haven't had a lot of information from it though, and the devs kind of have just been a bit like, yeah, we've got some pictures and stuff in Discord. But yeah, considering it's meant to be out in 6 months, yeah, just not enough sort of gameplay shown. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good one, and if it is, I definitely would like to cover it more because I love the idea of surviving in a Lord of the Rings game. I'm just hoping it doesn't get lost amongst all the other big releases, and that's the big problem with so many of these smaller games I'm mentioning. With so many of these big games potentially coming out between sort of February and maybe June next year, you do not want to be releasing your little indie survival game. I'm slightly intrigued by the sequel to Kona. It's one of the first survival games to actually come out on the Xbox back in the day. It's not a full-blown open world survival game, it's more like a scary story game. But the sequel seems to be promising more of the same sort of stuff with obviously more updated gameplay and graphics. So yeah, I'm totally down for giving this one a shot. I've always wanted to get into the first one more, so it might give me an excuse to play that before trying this out at some point next year. But yeah, I can't imagine it being something that I'll cover long term. I thought about putting all the games that I'm a bit sus about in one section, but yeah, no, I thought I'd break it up a bit. This is another one of them that's absolutely sus. Dead Matter has been like promised for like 4 or 5 years now. They had absolute nightmare when they launched in alpha, overpromised stuff, keys were not being redeemed properly, and it just pissed off all their backers. That created a massive negative vibe, and what I'm hearing from people that have played the game, it's just not in a great state, even for an alpha. Too ambitious, not enough experience on the team, using a ton of Kickstarter money before getting more investment. There's even snide reports that maybe they're not using that money to the best effect, possibly buying houses and shit. Allegedly. I get making games is hard, and when you're trying to make something big, ambitious and open world zombie game to rule them all, but you kind of got to know your limits. You can't just keep people waiting for years and years, especially when you've already took some of their money. They've got maybe a new producer or some shit like that, and hopefully he's going to kick them up the arse to get things going, or at least communicate a little bit better. They have kind of done all that stuff. They kept regular blogs going and stuff, but it is just the rumours surrounding this game that make me feel like it's just going to be one of them that ends up, we get a notice next year saying that development has had to cease. Who knows? I was always excited about this. The idea of running around basically Canada, surviving against zombies in a wilderness with your friends, or against other players. It still sounds cool, but yeah, we've had so many of these types of games crash and burn now. Medieval Dynasty's come out on Xbox recently, and a lot of people really enjoy the series of the Dynasty games, whether or not it's the farming one before, or what they've got cooking in terms of Wild West, or the Sengoku Dynasty game. Now, out of 2, I have got no interest in being a cowboy, it has to be said. We've had it a few times now, a bunch of developers have tried making a cowboy survival game, and it just pales in comparison to playing Red Dead. I'm sure even if that game isn't a full-blown survival, it's still got a billion mechanics better. Is Cowboy Dynasty gonna break that mold? Probably not, to be honest. Like, don't doubt it. I'm sure the developers will work hard on it, and I'm sure it'll be a good little game for people that really want to have that Wild West experience, but it's not for me. I'd have to see a lot more gameplay to decide whether or not I'll actually give it a full go. Maybe live stream it a little bit and check it out, sure, at release, but it's not going to be something I'm going to devote a huge amount of time to. Sengoku Dynasty, if I said that wrong, sorry. I like the idea of this one a bit more. I'm a bit more fascinated with Japanese culture and stuff, so the idea of building up my settlement and fighting against others, maybe shoguns and stuff with blades, I'm down for, as long as the combat is actually going to be something good. I think that's what I really didn't like about Medieval Dynasty. It was too grindy, and I guess it felt just a bit basic. I know it wasn't the focus, it was about, you know, surviving and crafting and settlement building, but adding the kind of bandits to it, and the bandits just weren't that effective, it just wasn't that interesting, nor was hunting any of the wildlife. That's why I kind of got bored of that one. So I'm hoping Sengoku Dynasty might give me a little bit more, and the setting might intrigue me a little bit more. So yeah, if this comes out next year, then I'll be down for giving it a try. Skye is a game set on the Scottish island in the Viking Age, where you'll be surviving against other players, I do believe, as well as obviously Viking NPCs, as you maybe base build, set up new settlements, and obviously just survive. It's intriguing for sure, and I've tried supporting this game as much as I can whenever we've got some big news or giving you guys updates and stuff. I think it's got potential. It's got a small team behind it though, and with maybe not that much investment in it, it's still going to take an age for this game to come out, and I don't think it's going to maybe have enough polish that a lot of people kind of expect nowadays from games. I'm hopefully going to be proved wrong. It's a big undertaking to make these types of games on small teams, so I'm hoping they get some investment and they can pump it into stuff. It does look great, don't get me wrong, the Unreal trailers and the screenshots are amazing and beautiful, but every small team needs that kind of money injection so they can get even more artists, more programmers, especially for these big open world sandbox multiplayer games. So yeah, I'll be rooting for them. I'm going to show off stuff. I'll carry on doing sort of videos every now and then, and if it does come out next year, I'll absolutely give it a try in showing you some gameplay and guides. Return to Angrium. So many of you guys upset at me that I never included it in some of my previous video lists in the last year. I guess that's because it kind of felt more just like a crafting game than a survival game, but I've looked into it a bit more. Yes, it is very dwarven, so much like Return to Moria, albeit with a first person point of view. It definitely has got that focus on crafting, like really blacksmithing is a huge focus of this game by the looks of things. So for sure, I'll give it a try once we actually get a proper release. It might even come out before 2023, judging by the teaser trailer or playable demo they've got and stuff. But at the moment, with no release date firmly set, I reckon it'll be next year. I really do like different survival games, something that's given me something interesting, something I've not played before. Towers been hyping up for a few years now, and they've got the investment. They've taken some time away while they happened, and it seems to be promises that they're going to start revealing more info and progress about the game. It's meant to be a unique kind of PvE experience where you and other players have some sort of different win condition. That was the original pitch, that you build up your settlement, your town, these towers, and that's how you beat the game. You will be maybe attacked in waves by mysterious creatures, so you're going to have to put base defenses or tame lots of the creatures around you to help you. But that was like nearly 3 years ago now, so maybe a lot has changed since then. They've definitely said some parts of it have in the most recent news that they gave. Once part of my top 3 most hyped and looking forward to, slip down a little bit now until we get more info about it, but yeah, I'm still going to cover it as soon as we get that info. We haven't heard any news about a release date for State of Decay. Maybe we'll get something at this year's Game Awards, and if they say next year, I'll be down for it. I've never really got into the previous two, it has to be said. I felt like they were just a bit clunky and a bit cumbersome, managing the settlements and stuff. A trailer to me shows that actually this seems to be more focused on just survival in the wilderness against zombie creatures. The rumours are that it could be a big multiplayer game and actually have proper servers with proper amounts of players running around. That intrigues me more. A proper DayZ sort of survival game, but with a bit more fantasy element, with everything of the zombies being a bit over the top or cartoonish. Truth is, we just don't know enough. We've not had any real info about the game, and other than some problems behind the scenes, that's kind of all where we're at with it. So yes, if it does come out next year, I'll be all over it to give it a shot, and I would like to revisit the previous 2 games to get more experience with it. But I'm hoping this has gone a bit beyond, and it's something actually a bit different, because a lot of people were kind of feeling like the second one didn't push it far enough. So hopefully State of Decay 3 does the job. So there we go, that's what it's going to be pretty much on the main channel for the next sort of year. That are the big releases. Of course other stuff might pop up, but that's what you expect. We've still got games that I will be always covering, like Valheim and updates for that, but the big focus will be on Sons of the Forest and Nightingale really. Maybe Arc 2 news, maybe a bit of State of Decay if it breaks, and then covering all these smaller little games as they launch. But there are other little survival games, and most of these that I'm about to rattle off will be on my second channel. Hytale, no doubt about it, it might look like a Minecraft clone, but it's got some big pedigree behind it, with the developers having set up all the Hypixel servers, the investment from Tencent and Riot. It's going to be a big game if it does release next year. Small little team are making Under a Rock. It looks gorgeous, got a nice art style. I have to see more gameplay on it at the moment. It definitely looks pretty, promising creatures or exotic creatures that you may be able to tame or even ride as you explore again in a 19th century setting with up to 10 players, gathering resources and building. So yeah, definitely more cozy. By the looks of things though, they're probably going to need more investment, and I can't imagine this coming out in the early part next year, so it'll probably be towards the end of the year that we might actually see something like a release. I've already checked out Wonderlust, I backed it on Kickstarter and I'm liking the look of this one. It's going to be something a bit like Don't Starve, but maybe a bit more involved mechanics in terms of base building and stuff. Survive in, I think, procedurally generated worlds against lots of zombies, gathering resources, you know the deal. Another game I did check out a demo for a little while ago, Aloft. It's cool, it's a little bit rough around the edges with certain things, but I'm kind of digging the theme of it, where you basically make an island your airship as you travel through and go and explore other islands for resources. So another one, once we get a release, I'll cover it with gameplay and guides and see how we go. Little Devil Inside. Again, this was one of my games that I thought I would absolutely kill someone to get hold of. We've had so many delays, so many kind of false starts where we thought we might get it happen and then nothing. It's kind of a mix between Monster Hunter and a survival game with a Japanese RPG flavour. You'll be travelling over an overworld in specific ways and then exploring these mini kind of areas to gather resources, look for clues about these bigger creatures that you'll have to take on. It first got kickstarted in 2014. It's taken that long to actually get anywhere close to release, and we still haven't got a Danny, whether or not it's actually going to be this year. I will cover this though. It's just something about the style, the art, the idea, the premise, the world. I really like the look of it. So yeah, if we get any big news about this, it will be something I'll deliver on my second channel. Not strictly a survival game, more of a cozy farming sim. Light Year Frontier looks cool. How about you play Stardew Valley, but you got a big massive mech suit? That's what this game really is. Up to 4-player co-op, no real combat, just running around. I have noticed with Slime Rancher, I like playing that, it's nice and chill. I can't really make content on it though, because frankly, I can't just sit here and pretend to be hyped about slime balls every 2 seconds. But this could have a bit more construction, a bit more kind of emphasis on the crafting. So yeah, I'm down for playing this hopefully in March, I think, by the time it comes out next year. And it will be on Xbox, which I love games that do launch on PC and console at the same time. Another game I've been saying I can't wait to play, it's been on my list for years. They had a little demo, the development team have been growing, they've been doing all the right things. It is Outpost Glacier. It's a survival game with friends that you survive against the cold harshness, so you're going to have to think about heat and light and stuff, and it seems to have a bit more focus on automation, so I like that aspect of it as well. And you're still going to have to do things like fight off against weird creatures, maybe polar bear style stuff. For sure, something I'll cover. I've just been looking forward to this one. I like the style, I like the vibe from it, and yeah, I'll be giving it a good go once it's here. I do like all sorts of survival games, and this is one, Above Snakes, where it's top-down view, different tiles that you'll be rotating and exploring different ones, and basically, yeah, building up a huge map where you get resources and fight off zombies in a cowboy kind of setting. I tried it on the channel a little bit earlier, and it's another one I've Kickstart backed as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing the progress they've made, which has been really good to see. Something a bit different instead of just the usual third or first person. Bitgraft is another one of them that's promising to be this massive MMO, yet we know little or next to nothing about it. I mean, they've done a few devlogs talking about some mechanics and stuff, but really haven't seen enough gameplay or how the interactions will work. They're kind of promising that it won't be PvP based, it will be like you'll have roles, the world will be vast. If you want to play with your friends, it may take you days or weeks to get to them across a giant atmosphere or world. Yeah, it's a bit of an intriguing one. We just need more info about what type of game it's actually going to be, but it could be interesting. That as well as Palia, that's another one that's kind of on my radar a little bit. So there we go. There's a bunch of other games that should be coming out this year, like Small Land and Forever Skye, and a few more. So hopefully I'll be covering them. But yeah, if they get delayed till next year, then that's what I'll be focusing on as well, because I like the idea of them. Hopefully that's give you a better idea about where I'm at the moment with both channels and what to expect from me in the future. I know I'm not always great at maintaining the community because I do switch and change games so often. I'm going to try better not to do that in the future. Obviously I've just shown like 20 games that I will be covering and playing, but a lot of them will be live streams. I just don't think I'm going to really stick with a game unless I really enjoy it or it's doing really well. But the flip side is, if I do like a game, I will do more content based on it and really try and push some sort of new stuff or make the content better. And if you got this far, thanks a lot for watching the whole video and being just a proper rat bag. I really do appreciate you guys sticking around even when I'm not uploading regularly or not playing the kind of games that you really want me to play. Thank you so much. Until next time, I'll catch you later.